Page 4, the summer of constitutional discontent. Brace yourself for an unprecedented political assault by the Article 1 branch of government against the Article 2 branch. And it's likely to play out all summer long throughout the hallowed halls of the House of Representatives. This scripted, attempted takedown of a sitting president and the annulment of the will of 65 million American voters is impeachment. Whether actual articles of impeachment ever make it to the floor of the House would be merely a formality. Nancy Pelosi is allowing her radical bunch of rabid partisans to use and abuse the powers of committee to execute impeachment without ever actually going through the constitutionally prescribed process. And it's a shame. It is hyper-constitutional. And the lapdog army of rank-and-file Democrat anti-Trump socialists in the House will bark whenever Master Pelosi dictates. These would be deplorable members of Congress like this guy from the 52nd District in Southern California, Scott Peters. His voting record is so bad, so anti-constitutional, that it's actually worse than that of the Speaker of the House. Therefore, his new name is now Scott Pelosi Peters. What a disgrace this guy is, even by California standards. Scott Pelosi Peters is on record supporting impeachment of the constitutional variety or through the mainstream media, doesn't matter, right along with his fellow George Soros sycophants on Capitol Hill. But in this effort by Nancy Pelosi and company to destroy Donald Trump, these temporary politicians are doing permanent damage to our constitutional system. They are lowering the constitutional bar by repeating the impeachment mantra and lie often enough to create what will be the constitutional summer of discontent.
Foreign Affairs, which has had hours of testimony from Secretary Tillerson. I've been out this morning, so I haven't heard what some of the results of that are yet.
Stop tape. So why would the Foreign Affairs Committee be involved in this impeachment whirlwind? Well, and why would they be talking to Secretary Tillerson? Well, what they're trying to do, I believe, is work this emoluments nonsense. The emoluments clause, the buried clause in the United States Constitution, was put there for a reason, and the reason was for our ambassadors, our representatives, but in particular our ambassadors, so they weren't bribed by other heads of state. They didn't work for other heads of state. They worked for our government, and that's why the emoluments clause is in there. Donald Trump is not violating the emoluments clause of the Constitution by owning a hotel or owning a golf course, and some cat from India comes over and plays Trump National in Palos Verdes and pays $500 for a round or whatever it is. That's not a violation of the emoluments clause. That's not a bribe being sent to the President of the United States. Does anybody believe this nonsense? But this is the path they're going down. Somebody stays at the hotel, the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., pays whatever the rate is there. I saw it as low as about $350 a night, but I think that's rare. It's probably closer to $1,000 a night, right? A good room there. It's not a bribe to the President of the United States. He happens to be a businessman, which is exactly what the framers of the Constitution wanted. They wanted people from the private sector to go surf and then leave, Nancy. Ever heard of that word? Leave. How many decades have you been in Congress now? Since the 1980s? They didn't have Botox back then. They do now. Roll tape.
I understand that. Intelligence. We're getting the documents. Government reform. We've won the court case, 2 actually. Financial services, we're in court right now, and this is a very good case for us, all built on investigation.
Stop, Dave, stop. Okay. So these committees going after, for example, Donald Trump's tax returns, why would Congress put a law like that in place? Yes, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee can ask for somebody's private tax returns. Now, this is private information that no one is supposed to see, and this is why Congress did it this way, where one person is allowed to ask for them. But we know modern Washington, D.C. We know the echo chamber that exists there. And if one person sees it or has knowledge of it and views it, as they say, in camera, it's going to spread to all 435. That's what's going to happen. And that's what the Democrats are banking on if they ever get their grimy partisan fingers on Donald Trump's tax returns, which go back well before he was president of the United States. So what is the legislative purpose?
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.